Hi, I'm Tim Linsdau. I'm a video producer and a Christian. Today I want to talk about the political wranglings of the day. It's a shame that we have such battles like with Kavanaugh and Dr. Ford. The trouble with these type of things is it's a he said, she said. There's never a real definitive answer. Maybe growing up in the Perry Mason era in the 60s, I had an idealistic view of justice and courts. And there'd be something definitive. The great discovery from a secret witness that comes in, or the defendant makes the confession that I did it. It was, simple. Everything was cut and dried. Of course, that fit a television series more easily. But today we don't have that. Many of these sexual abuse stories end up with nothing definitive. We don't know who did what or why or where or anything. It's just accusations flying back and forth. As with this one, no doubt politics connected. One was to prevent this judge from being on the high court. And from what I can see, much of it is just fear about abortion. For and against. And that's what it settles on. And why is abortion such a big deal? And I believe it's because women feel less than equal because they can become pregnant and have to carry a baby, or if they choose not to in this world, which is a real shame that a mother would want to kill her child before it's born. I mean, what a tragedy. And the tragedy it's been for our nation. Some people may feel they're more free, they're more liberated, but at the expense of a life. And I mean, down deep, how does that get to a person that they're selfish enough to give up, take somebody's life for their benefit? It's extraordinary, really. But this whole thing comes down to tribalism. Democrats versus Republicans. Becoming isolated, separated. And there really is nothing new in the human condition, tribalism. Look at the gangs, let's say gangs in inner cities that form and fight against one another, and innocents are hurt and killed. I suppose somebody forms a criminal gang and somebody else forms a gang to defend themselves. I've spoke before on the American Indian experience. You think centuries ago, the many tribes there were across this land, and they formed in tribes to survive, to defend their neighbor, defend each other. It was just survival. And that can become quite brutal, because it's tit for tat. In other words, you kill one of mine, I kill one of yours, and that's what happens. And you can just see that being played out in this story on the judge with Kavanaugh. It's the same thing. You have a specific thing you want to protect, and you're going to do anything that you've got to do to protect it. I remember a politician saying some years back that it's not right or left, it's up or down, meaning it's good or it's bad. And when a people start to reject truth, then they have a hard time seeing whether something is good or bad. They're just looking at their own selfish desires. And then that's all you get, is just selfish behavior. No longer paying attention to what's right. You just do what you think is right in your own eyes. Then what do you have? This country was torn apart in the 1860s by that type of thinking, into a civil war killing 750,000 people or more to end the horrid practice of slavery. But they wouldn't compromise. They wouldn't finally work their ways out of that, even though it probably was happening, but very slow. But that's where the tribalism leads us, eventually to war. That's why many of the tribes in early America were warrior tribes. They were all warriors. They knew about fighting and surviving and dying. They knew what that was. There were a few tribes scattered around that were isolated enough to not be warlike, but not many. But, where does that lead us today? Where are we going with this? When this, if this judge is approved, how bad will he get in the streets, or will it? I don't know. It depends on how divided people are, how extreme their worldview is. Do you have a view of the world of love of your neighbor, love of self? If you have that view, you can overcome your selfish desires to help others, help your family, help yourself. It's very important. Resist that tribal nature. We'll even look for people to agree with our sins, if you will. We'll find people to agree with us on that. And where does that lead us? Into more disaster. So that takes me to what liberty is about in the Declaration of Independence and established in the Constitution. Liberty is about individuals, not groups, not tribes. It's about individuals being free to live their lives as they see fit. But there has to be a truth in it. That see fit just can't be just as you please, but what is right. And I believe that the only place you get right is out of the Bible. It's accurate, it's true, and it works. It's that important. We have to overcome that constant division. We're going to have disagreements. And civil disagreements allow us the opportunity to discuss and learn from each other and better perfect our decisions. But if we operate as tribes, where are we? Just warring factions again. And where does that end up? Again in disaster. We've built quite a nation here. It has given us liberty in the pursuit of happiness. In that liberty, by paying attention to our better natures, to seeking liberty not only for ourselves, but our neighbor. That's important. Are we allowing and helping our neighbor to achieve liberty for themselves? Again, it comes down to the individual, not the tribe. Because the culture of the tribe can be wrong. It can be developed over time and end up being wrong. And that's the value of individual liberty. Learning and growing in the truth. True to yourself, true to God, true to your neighbors. That's what liberty is all about. It's very, very important, because otherwise we're back in tribal warfare. And you've seen that played out on television in these recent days. Sounds like we've got an emergency situation going on. Just think how wonderful it is in the country that we have all of these services that help us out in an emergency. And that all came from individual liberty and thinking of others, caring for one another. That siren sound means that somebody cares enough to go help another, even going into danger. So let's not let this tribal thing control us. Let's remember individual liberty, kindness, and love again. Thank you. I'm Tim Linsdau. Like and comment on my video, and please subscribe to my channel. Thank you.